What the F is going on? Crypto is looking incredibly uncertain right now, with the altcoins bleeding aggressively towards the downside, leaving many of you wondering whether you should be cutting your losses and getting out of these markets, whether you should be buying the dip or whether you should simply be holding. Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly why the market is so uncertain right now and why things will change very soon in a very big way and what happens when they do. I'm also going to tell you different courses of actions to take depending on your situation in crypto. Because if you are worried right now, if you don't know what to do or where to turn, well, this is the video for you. You're going to know exactly where you should be by the end of it. So do me a favor, hit that like button, and let's get into today's video. Now guys, I, like you, am holding a lot of crypto. I spend a lot of time on Twitter and YouTube, and I'm thinking to myself, things are getting pretty scary. And why are they getting so scary? Well, I look across to the Bitcoin chart, and I see that Bitcoin's down around 12% from these highs, and I think, actually, things aren't really that bad until I go and then check my crypto portfolio, and it's significantly lower than it was back in December. Probably much like yourselves. Well, here's the reason. All of us, pretty much, are holding a bit of Bitcoin, maybe no Bitcoin, and then a lot of altcoins. And a lot of altcoins have seen some significant downside, some more than others, of course, and that has left many of us feeling sick to the stomach, not knowing which way to turn, sleepless nights, all of that stuff. So I'm here to tell you that I'm going to put your mind at rest, and I'm going to show you exactly what you should be doing so you can stop questioning yourself and so that you can make a move now rather than having to panic later on. But before we do that, we need to understand a few different things. Firstly, it's this. Bitcoin has been going sideways and not doing particularly much because there is a lot of uncertainty in the markets. And whenever Bitcoin does this, and whenever there's uncertainty in the global markets, altcoins will always get bashed the hardest. So despite the fact that this Bitcoin chart right now is putting in somewhat of a rising wedge, potentially, if it can manage to maintain support in this area, or you could say maybe it's bouncing off of this previous area of resistance here and forming more support in this key area, who knows, okay? But what we're seeing right now is still very uncertain, okay? Because Bitcoin could potentially break lower, and if it does, the altcoins will bleed aggressively with it. On the flip side, if it bounces higher, the altcoins will go up significantly, which is where your dilemma is obviously coming from. So let's understand why there is uncertainty in the market and what it's going to take for it to go away, because as soon as we understand what it's going to take for it to go away, we're going to understand exactly when Bitcoin is going to stop messing around in this range and when things are about to change. And it's not really going to be very long, and I'm going to show you exactly why this red pattern here, which is where we are right now, is pretty damn similar to the 2017 crypto bull market. Because if you can understand that a bull market will still come in the future and why it will still come, then you're going to be much more confident in making your choices when I give you the courses of action to take. And simply to understand this, we need to know that this bull market is the same as the last one for one big reason and one big reason only: Donald Trump. Donald Trump, the pro-crypto government who's rolled into office and all of a sudden crashed the crypto markets. Well, you see, he is a pro-crypto government. He is buying millions of dollars of Ethereum, Solana, and Bitcoin every day. You can see it on chain. There's proof of this available. We also know that he's signed off on a strategic Bitcoin reserve for the US. The United States, the world's biggest economy, is going to start to invest in Bitcoin and crypto. Other countries around the world are starting to do this as well. The world's largest asset manager, BlackRock, is buying crypto. So why is Donald Trump causing all of this uncertainty? And why is Donald Trump, the pro-crypto government, causing the markets to tank? Well, is it because he launched a meme coin and his wife launched one? No, though I wish he hadn't. But it's all because of something else. It's all because of what Donald Trump is doing when he comes into office that he did back in 2017. And that is to be the biggest kid in the playground. Now, let me explain this. The United States has the biggest GDP, right? And that means something. It can go out there and it can start to put pressure on other people around it to be able to get what it wants, okay? And what Donald Trump is simply doing right now is going to various different countries and imposing fairly strict tariffs on them in order to create a negotiation, okay? And we've seen this already. He did it the other day when he put tariffs on Mexico and Canada, was saying that he was going to impose them. He then did it yesterday saying he was going to do it with the European Union, okay? He's also said that he's going to think about doing it with China. He's simply putting pressure on them, leveraging them in ways that he can, as the biggest kid in the playground to get his own way, which obviously in the future will be great for the US economy because all of these countries are going to have to negotiate on these terms. Why? Because while it might make up 5% of the US economy, the trade that's done with Canada, that same trade is worth about 30% of the Canadians' economy. So the Canadians are literally forced to make an agreement with the US. As soon as that agreement's made, then effectively Donald Trump gets his own way, which is what he wants. Now, right now, the problem with all of this is it's forcing the price of the dollar higher. Okay, so while all these tariffs and all this kind of like pressure he's applying to people is going out, it's forcing the price of the dollar up. Donald Trump, you might know, doesn't want a strong dollar because a strong dollar makes trading with other countries around the world very difficult. It means it's quite difficult for people to live in an economy where the costs and things are expensive. We know that Donald Trump wants to bring down interest rates, but he wants to increase inflation, which stimulates economical growth. Whew, it's a lot of information, right? But simply think of it like this. Donald Trump is simply trying to get his own way. He doesn't really want to have problems between himself and other countries. He wants everyone to get along, but he wants them to do it on his terms. He is using his bulk, his power, to push other people to do what he wants them to do. And as soon as he gets his way, everyone can start on their merry way and start printing money, start bringing down interest rates, and bring everyone into line, which is what will cause this insane bull market to play out. The Bitcoin price is 86% correlated to monetary supply, global monetary supply, okay? Right now, the US has still got high interest rates. It's not very good for money supply, okay? They're not stimulating their economy right now. They're trying to push everyone else into line before they can do that. Not only that, but the second biggest kid in the playground after Donald Trump is China. China has to do business with the US because the US is the biggest importer, China is the biggest exporter, okay? So they need to make a deal. But at the moment, Donald Trump can still impose tariffs on China, which obviously is going to cause a bit of problems. But China right now really, really needs to stimulate its economy because its economy is struggling pretty heavily because of Evergrande and whatever else. The only thing that China can do to stimulate its economy is to print more money. But China can't print more money until the US brings down the value of the dollar, okay? Because it will cause a depeg, it will cause too much of a shift between the value of the dollar and the Chinese yuan, right? So it means that everyone will sell the yuan to go and buy the dollar, causing more of a landslide in valuations of this. And yes, to those of you who have been paying attention, I have been watching Raoul Pal recently. He's very interesting, and I recommend checking out what Raoul Pal has to say about global economics. Because more you understand about what is actually driving these markets and what's happening behind the scenes, it's going to give you far more confidence to hold through the dips and the peaks and the troughs and all that stuff, because you will understand fundamentally what is going to cause the money to flow into the economy that's going to flow into crypto. So when the US suddenly makes an agreement with China, it agrees to bring down the dollar. It's going to do that because they want China to stimulate their economy. They want China to do well because when China does well, it pumps money back into the US by buying US bonds. Who do you think buys all the US's debt? China. Okay, so this is basically a whole weird game of economics. Don't have to understand it too much. We're going through this time of uncertainty until everyone gets their way, and then we can continue along our merry way. And that's going to happen very soon because all of these tariffs, while they are bumps in the road, they're coming into the forefront and they're getting cancelled out pretty quickly. Okay, so as soon as we get over that news is when we can see continuation. Now, as I look back to the Bitcoin price, Bitcoin holding support in this key area right now. But if Bitcoin does dip a little bit lower, then guess what? The altcoins could as well see a little bit of a dip. Interestingly though, while Bitcoin is holding support in that key area, the total market cap of crypto, excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum and the top 10 altcoins, is actually bouncing quite nicely in this range. Okay, so it's bouncing in this area here, but this is a key area of support. And guess what? When key area of support gets broken, you will typically come down quite hard. Therefore, who knows whether Donald Trump on Monday goes and puts another tariff or announces some other piece of news that's going to shake everyone and cause more panic, which means whether you like it or not, the more you stare at this chart or whatever, it's not going to help, because if, just if, more bearish sentiment arrives in the market makers will use it to sweep the prices lower by pumping money between Binance and Coinbase and Wintermute. I made a little short video explaining how that works the other day. They'll use that smoke screen to flush out more liquidity, and it will mean that the altcoins that you're holding could see further shifts towards the downside, which now brings me on to the 3 courses of action that are available to us. Because throughout this bull market, and we are in a bull market, I've been telling you every single time that no matter when you make a decision, you have to be okay with a scenario A playing out and a scenario B playing out. Okay, so when the markets are really bullish and everything's going well, we always like to just think that scenario A is going to continue to play out and never really think about scenario B. But the more scenario A plays out, the more likely we see scenario B playing out. You get what I mean? So we need to just think about this right now. If we're aware that there's a bull market ahead of us, then carry on watching this video because these 3 courses of action are for you. If you don't think there's a bull market ahead of you, then I probably wouldn't watch this video, okay? Go and do something else. If you don't think there's any money to be made in crypto, you're best off out of it, okay? Because of this, if Bitcoin suddenly rallies towards the upside, it's going to take a long time for you to get your confidence back, and then you're probably going to ape into Bitcoin at like 130k, which is what most people end up doing, to be honest, and then you're just going to get burned again. The reason you've been so burned recently is probably because you aped and you waited till December to decide that that was the time you were going to buy, and then obviously you've sat in the downside throughout that period. But if you believe that we are going to enter into a bull market after all this mess is settled, which could happen next week, it could happen in a couple of weeks, in a month, okay, then you can use one of these courses of action that I'm going to tell you right now. Now, depending on who you are, these different courses of actions may be applicable to you. Now, obviously, you might have a family, you might have a mortgage, you might be unemployed, you might have lots of money, you might have no money, you might have all these other things going for you. Okay, your situation is different from my situation. It's different from that person's situation, which means that there are different courses of action available for everyone based on different scenarios playing out. Now, every single time you make a decision, you need to be aware that 2 things can happen. Price can go up, price can go down, okay? So in the short term, if we are aware that price can go up and price can go down, we need to ask ourselves, can we cope with price going up and down? Now, for me, my answer is yes, because I am a firm believer, having spent years of research doing this and having been in last bull markets, etc., to know what happens soon, okay? And that is that the markets go up, right? So if you are confident, whatever else, then guess what? You simply have to ask yourself, can I cope with another 20 or 30 or maybe more percentage downside in my portfolio should the worst case scenario happen? And that is Bitcoin dipping down here. Now, who knows, right? Now, in my opinion, given the sentiment in the market, I do genuinely believe that we're more likely to see this. But just because I'm more likely or I'm more bullish doesn't mean that I haven't got to be prepared for what happens if, okay? Because if this comes down like this, you need to be prepared for your altcoins to go down 30 or 40%. Therefore, if you can stomach that happening, then good for you. Probably best option is to just stomach it. And if you have the money to buy into those dips, okay? Personally, if you're buying those dips, I would buy into the kind of larger cap portions of your portfolio to make sure you're maintaining that the majority of your portfolio is in large cap coins, okay? I told you in multiple portfolio videos I've made before, the majority of my portfolio is always in large caps so that if the market comes towards the downside, then you get less risk exposure, okay? I remember plenty of people back in November being like, oh, why do you want to hold Ondo? Why do you want to hold Render? Why do you want to hold this coin or that coin? Because it's only got another 3 or 4x from here. Fair enough, but that's because if we ever got downside, those coins only come down 30 or 40% rather than 70 or 80%. That's just the risk that we play, okay? Smaller cap coins, higher risk to reward, large cap coins, lower risk to reward. So if the answer is that you're okay with holding through more downside, then guess what? You hold, you buy more, should you be able to, on the anticipation that at some point the market's going to turn around and you're going to make all your money back and so much more because you've been able to stay in these markets. But I know that's probably the course of action that many of you don't want to take because you're thinking to yourselves, I can barely sleep as it is. I wake up feeling sick every morning without any money. If it gets worse, I haven't got any more, money to put into it. And I understand that. Personally, I would just say, well, go and sell some stuff on eBay or, go and cut some hedges or clean cars or whatever it is. But if you don't have time for that or you don't want to do it, then whatever. Okay, fine. So we got our first course of action. Second course of action. For those of you, and I guess lots of you will be put into this bracket. I'm not, gaslighting you or whatever it might be, okay, to make you feel bad about the situation. When you're new in these markets, it's so damn scary. I understand that, particularly if you don't have knowledge of how it kind of works and how it maneuvers, because you probably weren't expecting to end up in this situation. But that's okay. You're going to be all right by this, okay? Now, second scenario. If I really can't stomach another 30 or 40% dip, I have to ask myself this, because what would I do? If my portfolio dipped another 20 or 30%, would I be forced to panic sell my crypto? If you think that the answer to this question is yes, then I would consider that you do this. I would say that you maybe start to think about taking some of your crypto out and move it into USDT Or if you are holding a lot of smaller cap coins, you could maybe consider moving your smaller cap coins into larger cap, safer plays. Now, this isn't ideal, okay? But it's going to mean that you could end up down here, but you will be able to sleep at night. And that's going to stop you from doing something stupid, which is acting under emotion. Don't want to act under emotion. This is why I'm telling you this video now, rather than suddenly if the market goes crazy up on Monday or crazy down on Monday. Okay, we want to be prepared no matter what happens. This allows us to be calm when stressful situations arise that we can't control. Okay, because no matter how hard you've stared at those charts, no matter how hard you've prayed that it goes up, it doesn't work, does it? Okay, so let's be prepared. So if I'm going to sell some of my cryptos, which ones would I be selling? Personally, I think maybe about de-risking some of the smaller cap ones. Why? Because those smaller cap ones will, in my opinion, see more downside. Okay, you can move it into the large cap ones. Okay, large cap ones have been holding up quite well. Okay, I don't know, Ondo, Sui. Okay, these are projects that will be around into the bull market. Okay, into the top of the bull market. Solana. Okay, they're not going to give you the 10, 20, 30x returns that maybe some of those small cap altcoins that you hold will, but they will be able to give you, you know, from the prices after these recent pullbacks, 3x's, 5x's, etc. Okay, so if the market suddenly rips after you sell everything and move it into small caps, at least you're going to benefit from the upside that you're going to get in some of those larger caps. Okay, and also if you want, you can have like some money still in crypto, you can have some money in USDT or whatever. So if the market is, you know, to come down here, then you can load up here. But ultimately, this is going to cost you a bit, because if the market suddenly rips towards the upside like that, and you've kind of sold all of the sort of smaller cap altcoins, you might have noticed that some of the smaller cap altcoins, as soon as the market looks bullish again, they pump like 20 or 30%. Okay, and that can happen very quickly. So that might cost you a bit, and that you've kind of taken a big L on some of those coins, and then you've had to move into others, and then you've missed out on some of that upside. This is basically the price that you pay for having less risk. Okay, less risk, less reward. Everything is like this, very straightforward. Now onto the final one, and probably for the people who are the most cautious out there right now. Now this isn't something that I personally would advise. If you are bullish and you think that crypto is long-term going to go up, then I would ultimately want to keep my money in the assets that I think are going to go up. Okay, again, you could probably keep some Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever, but if you really can't handle it, and you really can't handle going down another dollar, then you can sell your crypto. And I know this is going to be very unpopular and people aren't going to like it. But guys, if you are at a point where you are literally tearing your hair out, that you are, you know, your life feels like it's gone down several kind of, you know, gears in terms of your quality of life right now because you're so worried about what's going on in crypto. Firstly, you probably invested more money than you could afford to lose, if we're honest. Okay, so this is a lesson that we learn. But also, it's not worth it, okay? It's just money, okay? Money comes and goes. Be in a situation where you're kind of happy and you're not worrying too much about what's going on in crypto, okay? So, if that's you, then guess what? You can exit the market. What is your price to pay for exiting the market? Well, let's say, just for example, you exit here. And the reason I'm telling you that you can exit is because I would rather, if you were going to exit down here, that you just exited here. And, that, you know, that life goes on and you're still happy, okay? But ultimately, I would pay very close attention because you still have an opportunity to be able to get back in, although you're not going to be able to see some of the, you know, the best returns possible. Because let's say right now, Bitcoin's at this price and you decide to exit all your crypto. Okay, you just sell everything. Now what happens is Bitcoin, for example, could come down here and maybe you could get back in again. Right, you've obviously got to be prepared that if you get in here, maybe Bitcoin comes down to here. I don't think that's going to happen. Okay, just be aware though that obviously can happen at any point. Now, on the flip side of things, and the thing that you should be most cautious about if you're selling is if Bitcoin goes up, because you never know when you go to bed whether you don't wake up and you see a candle of like this proportion. Okay, in the last bull market is where we got these kind of crazy candles, and typically these candles appear at the time when everyone is most terrified of what's going on. Look at this candle here, okay, back last bull market, 25%. If you're selling all your altcoins and stuff and Bitcoin goes up 25%, you're going to see coins like Sui going up 50-70%. Okay, you could see some of the small caps doing 100%, 150% moves, and this is basically the risk that you are playing, right? So if Bitcoin does rally towards the upside, then what you're looking for it to really do is to break up above this area. Now, I wouldn't necessarily go and ape in up here, okay? Because that is a very dangerous thing for you to do. Why? Because this is a key area of resistance. So if you're going to sell all your crypto, just give me a scenario, right? Let's say you had $1,000 here, okay? And then now your $1,000 is worth $500 here. Now, you sell all your crypto, you've got $500 in your bag, you've taken the L, you're down half your portfolio. Get back up to this zone, you put $500 back in the market, and Bitcoin decides that it's going to come down for another one of these. I guarantee that if you do that, then you're going to end up with about $300 or less, and you're going to panic like crazy, and you're not going to know what to do. All for Bitcoin to then come back up here, and for you to then have your $250 left and put it in, okay? Rather than just having $500 that probably just comes back up, and at this point you're back to normal, all right? So by not selling and just by staying in the market, as long as you're not overly exposed to tiny small cap coins and you're not using massive leverage and things like that, I still think it's the safest thing to do, to just maintain and hold. And if you can, DCA in a bit, do it to the larger caps, the ones that you know are going to survive throughout, okay? It's very unlikely that small caps and crypto coins won't survive in any way, okay? But some don't do particularly well. A lot of the kind of larger caps, you know, you've seen them already established, they will do upside from here. Almost guaranteed, in my opinion, not financial advice and all that good stuff. So take from this what you will. I'm simply telling you, me personally, I wasn't expecting it to play out this long, but in the past, we've seen crypto go sideways for a number of days. Eventually, when it rallies very hard and very fast, and those rallies only last for a few days, tens of days at a time, okay? So when those rallies are there, you want to be in the markets, you want to be ready for them, okay? And the best way to be in them is every time the prices come low, you get dips, you buy the dips. I stick by it, I buy the dips, I continue to buy the dips as I can, but I know many people out there are really scared. And if you're really scared, there's only one thing you can possibly do, and that is assess your situation where you are right now, while you're calm, okay, when the market's not moving around too much like it is on this weekend. It allows you to make the right decision for you personally, okay? This isn't about me not being bullish or bearish, okay? I am very bullish still. I think in the short term, I still think that we're not going to see too much more downside. I could be wrong, okay? But I think we're going to see, I still think that this was the low, okay, down here. And I still think we're going to go up from here. But I'm just saying that, you know, quite clearly, I don't know exactly what's going to happen from day to day. No one does, okay? The market makers are playing insane games right now. The news that's coming out of Donald Trump's office every single day is just unexpected, shall we say? And a lot of people have no real idea exactly where we're heading in the short term. So therefore, understand, can I put up with scenario A? Can I put up with scenario B? If the answer is yes, then this is your course of action. If the answer is no, then this is your course of action. And then the final course of action there, okay? Now, if you do end up selling all your crypto, okay, then maybe, just maybe, look for some form of pattern that is going to indicate that this down here might be over, okay? And what that might look like would be for Bitcoin to either break these highs up here or to put in a bullish engulfing pattern. What we can see down here is lots of red candles, all kind of looking a bit small, not looking particularly interesting. This is why I indicate, or why I would imagine we are going to see a very big move quite shortly, because whenever we get range bound like this, we often see a very big move. It might be like this, might be like this, which is why I wanted to bring you this video. So if we suddenly see a big bullish green engulfing candle coming up, this could be an indicator that strength is returning to the market, okay? But we would maybe like to see Bitcoin starting to move up and break above these highs. I would look for it to come back and retest this area before heading up, okay? So therefore, if I was exiting down here because I was too panicked and worried about what was going on, I would have to wait for this retest up here, okay? Which would mean from here I miss out, just in Bitcoin, for example, 11%. But it means I can sleep at night, and it means I don't have to worry about having to endure this, okay? Scenario A, scenario B. All right? Now, guys, hopefully that's been calming for you and everything is now seemingly all right. Do me a favor, go and give me a follow over on Twitter, okay? houseofcrypto3. Over here, I'm updating much more regularly. I'm talking about what's going on in the market. The market is full of fear right now. Everyone's very scared, which typically means we are closer to the bottom than the top. I do think that we see a return back towards the upside probably sooner rather than we do later. So I'm still pretty confident here, okay? But I just want you to be prepared for whatever happens next. Also, if you're new to the channel, you want a calm, level-headed approach, and you want to do some more deep research when the time is right into new different cryptocurrencies and things like that, as well as learn some tips and tricks on how to become more profitable in crypto, then make sure you subscribe to House of Crypto, notification bell turned on. Hope you have a fantastic weekend wherever you are. Let's get ready for this bull market. It's going to be a big one. See you soon. Bye-bye.